There's no way to sugarcoat this. LSU looked like a complete mess last night and an embarrassment, a full-out embarrassment to the SEC. Normally, you'll hear me say, okay, I got some bad news, but I also got some good news. Yeah, not in this situation. For LSU fans, I got some bad news and I got some worse news. I'm gonna let you know right now, if you don't like somebody with passion, you don't like somebody that screams, and you don't like somebody that gets into it, you might as well click off this video right now. I'm not even gonna try to hide the fact that I will get amped up throughout this video because I'm pissed off at what I saw last night. Whoa. Hold on. I know what you're sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, what are you mad about? You're an Alabama fan. Why are you mad that LSU lost? You should be happy they lost. Yes, that is a great point, but let me offer you some insight on how the people in the SEC work. In the SEC, and when I say we, I'm referring to the fans in the SEC, we root for our teams when they're playing non-conference opponents. Some people find that odd for some reason, and I understand it because a lot of Alabama fans, they never want to see Auburn win. A lot of Auburn fans, they never want to see Bama win. A lot of Georgia fans, they want to see LSU and Florida lose every single game. There is your fair share of people out there that just have so much hatred built up for one team, they want to see them lose every single game. However, I want you to understand that most people in the SEC, I would say about 95-96% of the fans, they want to see other teams do good as long as they're not playing their team. It makes us look better as an entire conference and as a unit when everybody's doing good against the non-conference opponents. Let me also clarify on this before I forget. Whenever conference play starts, yeah, it's a full-out battle, it's a full-out brawl, and everybody hates everybody. But for example, if you got Florida playing Utah, I'm not a Florida fan by any means, but they're in the SEC. I want to see them win. It's a pride thing, it really is, and it's not just in football, it's in basketball, it's in baseball. Anytime an SEC team wins a championship or they do something good, everybody chants SEC. I said all that to lead me to this point. Last night, going into that game with LSU and Florida State, in week 1, the SEC was 13-0. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. 13-0. I would say that's pretty impressive. So all LSU had to do was beat the measly Florida State. The Florida State Seminoles, aka the team that's rebuilding, aka the team that lost to Jacksonville State last year. Was it last year? I don't know. It felt like forever ago, but I believe that was last year. And well, I'm sure all you saw what happened last night. Leave it up to good old Brian Kelly to screw up everything for the SEC and sabotage them. Is anybody shocked by this? It's Brian Kelly. It's what he does. He always screws it over and blows the big time primetime games. I've been tweeting during the games and sharing my thoughts, so if you do want to tweet at me, say something to me, or just interact with me on Twitter, go follow my Twitter right now, and I am following back every single person that follows me. Twitter's a great way to interact with me during the games and see what I'm saying, and you can also say stuff to me. It doesn't matter. So if you do want to follow my Twitter, feel free to. It's not a big deal if you don't want to, but I will be following back a bunch of y'all. Anyways, that's besides the point. Let's get on topic with the game last night. What I saw from Brian Kelly, LSU, the team, the players, everybody involved, it was beyond pathetic, and it was an embarrassment to the SEC and LSU's program. And it's not just like one player messed up, or one coach messed up, or the play calls are bad, or any of that. It was a large sum of that. Everybody had a play in this loss. The fact that LSU almost had a chance to win this game at the end, it blows my mind. This was one of those games where it wasn't like, okay, this player, he sold the game because he fumbled. No, like I said, everybody messed up. It was so sad. Same thing for Florida State. What are you doing? You can literally take a knee, kick a field goal, and be up by double digits. You're tossing the ball on the goal. Oh, don't even get me started on that. This game last night, the storyline isn't Florida State beat LSU. The storyline is LSU beat LSU. And if you want me to be honest, and I've heard this before, I don't know how the quote goes, but nobody won the game. It's more of somebody lost it. It was almost like at the end, LSU was like, no, you take it. Florida State's like, no, you can take it. Then LSU's like, no, you can take it. Like, seriously, and I tweet this out, I think college football is amazing. Last night was a great example. If you weren't entertained by that, I don't know what can entertain you. Yes, it was entertaining, it's fun to watch, but let's get down to business. That was embarrassing from a football team standpoint for both of them teams. I mean, come on now, that was really sad. LSU had 2 fumbles on punt returns and 2 blocked field goal attempts, one of those being an extra point. And I also saw this where somebody tweeted it at me, shout out to you. Once again, you can go tweet at me during the games. It's Matt B. Great YT talking about, oh, well, the kicker, he messed up and blah, 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 blah. No, it wasn't the kicker's fault. The freaking field goals got blocked? How do you not see this? It was the blocker's fault. You got to block. Yes, if the field goal would have hit the upright or he would have missed it wide left, yeah, it would have been the kicker's fault, but no, they didn't even block. Okay, let me calm down and let's start off with this. Jaden Daniels. I'm not all too sure how to feel about him because at first he was running too much, he wasn't staying in the pocket, but then later in the game he was making some solid throws. I thought Jaden Daniels, he played okay, if not good, especially in that fourth quarter. Did he scramble way too much? Yes. Did he miss open wide receivers? Yes, but he's got a good arm and he was making good throws. Going over the stat sheet alone, he played phenomenal. 26 at 35, that's accurate. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs, QBR at 84. On the ground, lethal weapon as well. We know this. 16 carries, 114 yards. I'm not going to say the dude played the greatest game I ever saw, but I would definitely say he balled out and played well enough to win. The only concern, and we all know this if you watch the game, was he was missing open wide receivers and he ran too much. But hey, let's cut the kid some slack and give him some credit. When he did throw the ball, it was accurate. I think a great way to compare this is when Jalen Hurts was a freshman at Alabama, and all throughout his career at Bama, he did run too much and didn't stay in the pocket. And ultimately, that's why Bama had to switch over to Tua, because Tua was more of a passer. He was more polished. I'm actually going to take up for Jaden Daniels because the reason he had to scramble so much, not every time, but a lot of the times, was because the offensive line blocking was beyond terrible. And if you don't believe that, there's a reason why those field goals are blocked, because LSU, they can't block Florida State. The offensive line for LSU, I don't know what happened. I don't know what's been going on, but it's piss poor. It's terrible. When Jaden Daniels had time to throw, he made good throws. Let's talk about this, though, and this has got to be one of the biggest storylines of the night. Mr. Kayshon Boutte, aka the All-American wide receiver. Let me start off by saying this. I get it. As an athlete, I've been there where you feel like you need to get the ball and the quarterback, he's not throwing it to you or he's missing you wide open. I understand it. I understand he's getting frustrated, and rightfully so. You're open and he's not throwing you the ball. However, when he did throw you the ball, Mr. Kayshon Boutte, you dropped it twice and you had your head down the entire game. I don't care that he's an All-American. I don't care that he's this, he's that. He had a terrible attitude on the field. That attitude, it translates over, and even Jaden Daniels, much respect to him, he was going over to Boutte when they were coming off the field and trying to lift his head up. Once again, I get it. He was upset he wasn't getting the ball, but he looked like a spoiled brat last night. Kayshon Boutte, I don't care that you were open 3 or 4 times and you missed you. Do you understand how many wide receivers get open for every single team and don't get the ball? Do you see them complaining and throwing this big hissy fit? No. The reality of a wide receiver in middle school, high school, college, or the NFL is you're going to be open sometimes and the quarterback's going to miss you. May I remind you, a reason that Jaden Daniels missed him is because he's running for his life the entire game. Kayshon didn't even look like he wanted to be on the field, and I was disappointed in him. There's no way to sugarcoat this. LSU looked like a complete mess last night and an embarrassment, a full-out embarrassment to the SEC. The saddest part about this and the worst part about this is you can't even take anything away from that loss. There wasn't one aspect of that game where LSU looked good. The defense didn't look good. They were getting run over, pushed around. Florida State was doing whatever they wanted. We all know this. The offense didn't look good. They got so much to work on there. The wide receivers, they don't even like the quarterback. The quarterback, he scrambles too much, and the offensive line can't block. What about special teams? Oh, you dropped 2 punt returns that should have cost you the game, and you also missed 2 field goals. One was an extra point, but you get the point. That extra point was the biggest play of the game. Normally, you'll hear me say, okay, I got some bad news, but I also got some good news. Yeah, not in this situation. For LSU fans, I got some bad news and I got some worse news. The bad news is you played like horse crap last night and you lost to a mediocre Florida State team that is rebuilding. The worst news is I don't know if you can play better than that last night, and I don't know what you do moving forward, and you got to play in the SEC, but not just that, the SEC West. LSU, may I remind you, you are in the toughest conference and toughest division in the entire world. If you play the way you did last night against these SEC West teams and SEC teams, I don't even know if you won 4 games this year. This isn't a thing where I'm trying to overhype this. No. LSU is in some major trouble. Not only do you suck right now, and yes, you suck pretty bad. The offense is terrible. The defense is terrible. The play calling is terrible. And a lot of people think Brian Kelly is terrible as well. I do want to address this. Last night was a great example for people out there that God works in mysterious ways. Obviously, it's easy for me to say I knew this was going to happen, but I had a weird feeling that he would get a second chance. And I'm referring to Malik Neighbors. Neighbors. For those of you that don't know who Malik Neighbors is, he is aka the kid who fumbled 2 punt returns last night. And the last one, which I'm sure a bunch of you saw, was the one that should have cost LSU the game and they shouldn't have got another chance. He fumbled that punt return, he immediately dropped, and I felt so bad for him because he knew he messed up. And that wasn't his first punt return he dropped, that was the second one. You can only feel bad for him knowing that that was what everybody was going to blame the loss on, but guess what? LSU gets a stop and he gets that chance to redeem himself. And what do you know? This is a great lesson for everybody out there. God works in mysterious ways. Literally, the next 2 plays on offense, he caught 2 passes. That's why in life, you can never hang your head down when something bad happens to you because you never know whenever your next opportunity will be. For example, his next opportunity was what? In 5 or 6 minutes? Maybe some of y'all didn't find that interesting or cool. I thought that was awesome. Much respect to you, Malik Neighbors, and I'm glad, even though LSU lost the game, I'm glad that's not the reason they lost because that kid, he'd have been getting death threats. As far as for LSU moving forward, and we do got to move forward because in life, the sun doesn't stop for anybody. The game's in the past. It happened yesterday. As an LSU fan, and I'm asking y'all, let me know in the comment section, how do you feel? Like, do you feel good about this season? Do you feel good about the future? I don't know how you could. You know what, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at their schedule coming up. Your next 3 games are cupcakes, and then you got Auburn and Tennessee. So you should be able to warm up and get all the errors fixed by then. I don't know, man. I just don't know. But I'm going to end this video off in a good note, and I'm going to read you this tweet because I do like it. As LSU fans, we need to realize that Brian Kelly is taking over a team that is coming off of a 500 season in their first losing season in 2 decades. Why did I say decades like that? It's decades anyways. This team had 39 scholarship guys just a few months ago. This is a full rebuild, and the team will get better. Patience. I'm going to keep this short and simple. I agree 100%. It's almost like the same thing when Nick Saban came into Alabama. However, I did expect LSU to beat Florida State. This first year, it's going to be rough. LSU has talent, but the chemistry is not there, and it's Brian Kelly's first year. There's no reason to get too upset and overreact to this game. The only reason I'm screaming and I'm so pissed off for LSU fans in this video is because how the game was last night. Offensive line terrible, play calling terrible, 2 blocked field goals. You had 2 punt return fumbles. It couldn't win any worse. Brian Kelly was literally living a nightmare last night, and he couldn't wait for it to be over. That might be one of the worst games I've ever watched LSU play. So on the bright side, if you do want to take anything away from this, I don't know if you can play worse than that. Brian Kelly said the same thing at halftime, but here's the counter argument to that. Can you play better? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I am curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But we're on the 1 million. Please subscribe. We're on the road to 1 million.